Okay, and welcome back, students who are taking Math for Business and Finance and Math Applications. And we're looking at Chapter 19, the Sales, Excise, and Property Taxes. In the first video, we covered sales and excise tax, so we're going to cover the property tax. Right? Now, property tax is not that difficult, right? And this here is, if you understand the processes, the concept behind it, all we're doing it is just applying it against something else. We're applying it against the home. So these are not all kinds of things that you have to be memorizing. It's just different terminology for the same exact thing. Like for example, let's take, the assessed value. Okay, if we had, you know, let's say we have an assessment rate of 30%. Or 30%. Okay, that could be the same. That's, you think of it as, say, sales tax, or it could be excise tax, right? Again, it's a process. It doesn't matter what the terminology, the language you're using. It's the same idea. It's a percentage, and a market value could just as easily be your retail price, right? Okay. Now the market value, let's make that, say, 100,000. Okay, and if my assessment rate is 30%, that makes my assessed value $30,000. Sorry, $30,000 is my assessed value. Okay, so if you can think of that as the amount of the sales tax or excise tax or whatever have you. See, it's the same exact thing. It's just different terminology applied to it because we're not talking about buying a can of soup. We're talking about buying, a home here, right? And everybody has their own, every field of study or every industry has their own language, okay? But the underlying concept is still basically the same. You have a market value of 100,000. I take out my assessment rate, or quote unquote my tax, okay? And that's what my tax amount is, right? My assessed value right there. It's the same idea, okay? Okay, so our tax rate is a budget needed divided by our total assessed value, okay? That's how we get that 30%. Okay? So whatever the budget is needed, you make something up there, okay? Let's say I'm talking about 250,000, and my total assessed value happens to be, I don't know, a million, right? So my tax rate is going to end up being 0.25. It's all it is. It's nothing more difficult than that. And you'll get more practice as you do the drill problems and the word problems and the summary practice test. Okay. So the property tax due, all right, so if I have a tax rate, and I don't know, let's call the tax rate, say 7%, okay, and I have a total assessed value on a home of, say, 100,000, well, my total property tax due, or 7% of this 100,000 or $7,000, right? Doesn't that look eerily the same like that, or doing sales tax or doing excise tax? Again, same ideas. And if you look in the book, they're going to try to throw at you, you'll see where they had brought in that concept from previous chapters of drawing a circle and calling, this a portion, this a base, and this your rate. And remember, way back when in the earlier chapters, I said, forget about that. You're just complicating things. Okay, just stick with what you know. I mean, retail times, tax, an amount times a tax as a percentage gives you, another amount. Okay, that's the concept. The words you apply, whether it's retail, sales, due, or assessed value, ESS value, tax rate, due, same concept. An amount times the tax percentage gives you another amount. That's all there is to it. So you don't really need to be memorizing everything, okay? And if you go back to that portion-based rate, the circle, from the book, that will only confuse you because again, it all depends upon what your portion-based and rate are, right? Okay, so the other thing about property tax is how it is expressed. Okay, your tax rate can be expressed as a percentage, like 7%. Okay, it can be expressed as a per $100. All right, so I can have, let's say it's 7. That means it's per 100, which would be 7 times 100 would be 700, right? Or let's make this a little bit more interesting. Let's say it's 70, right? So that means it would be 7,000, or 700 would be 70,000. Because what you're doing is you're taking that amount, let's say it's 70,000, and it's per 100, so you're dividing by 100. Okay? And when you divide by the 100, we drop our zeros, and we're left with the 700. Okay? That's as if it was per 100. If we express, and using the per 100 isn't used that often, okay? I mean, it's available, but think about it, it's the bigger the numbers, you're going to have more of a tendency to use 1,000. So we still took the 70,000, and it's per 1,000, okay? We're going to cancel the zeros, so we're left with 70 is per 100, okay? This process of the math was also covered in the earlier chapters also, right? And then of course we have the tax rate expressed as in mils. So if we had 7%, remember it expresses a decimal, moving it 2 places to the left, so as a decimal format 0.07, okay? And we divide, since it's in mils, we're dividing by 0.001, okay? And that would give us, 70 mils. Right? So that's another way. That's a popular way also. These last two are the more common way. So just realize that if you're seeing something in mils, you have to, for me, I actually have to think about it, okay, for a second, because it's not as intuitive as the number being expressed in thousands, per 1,000, okay? So the tax rate in mils is the tax rate divided by 0.001. So if it's 7%, that's the tax rate, and I'm dividing by 0.001, which is what we did right here. Okay, so then the other thing that you want to pay attention to here is you can have the mils, 70 mils, times the assessed value of 70,000 times the 0.001, and that will give you the amount that you're going to pay in property tax. Property tax. Okay, so you could take the mils times the assessed value times the 0.001, and that will give you the property tax due. Okay. All right, so with that, that's the end. That's all I have to really say. If you watch these theory videos once, that's all you really need. Just do the drill problems, the word problems, and the summary practice test, and you'll have this down pat. Like I said in the previous video, this is a relatively easy chapter, okay? It's already something that you already know, so you should be able to work through these relatively quickly and not struggle with it so much. But if you don't understand something, go ahead and watch the videos again or contact an instructor. Okay, see you in the drill problems.